Um, Happy Tuesday. It's 4 p.m. here in Atlanta, where Art Cloud is based, and we're just so excited that you're joining us today for this conversation about 2025 strategy for art galleries. 2024, with all the reading that we just did for this webinar, and obviously our observation working in the art tech space has been quite the year, following a pandemic and post-pandemic, and coming into a new year. I think everyone's excited to.
The election threw it off a lot,
That's
all sorts,
exactly
all
right.
sorts of black swans and
That's exactly right. So, coming into 2025 with cautious optimism is basically the overarching theme of this webinar. And in the meantime, we'll ask ourselves questions about how 2024 went, how we can reflect, and how we can plan for the future. So, speaking of, this is our agenda. I will introduce myself and my CEO, Alex West, in a moment here, but we'll start with a welcome. We'll go through a 3-question poll just so we can have some audience interaction, do some reflections and predictions, and then go through some of our high-level digital products for ArtCloud that are proven to help galleries grow. So that said, if you guys have not met us before, my name is Megan Schaefer. I'm the creative director here at ArtCloud, and I have with me my CEO, Alex. And what we do is ArtCloud is an all-in-one comprehensive business operations platform, as well as websites for specifically the art world. So we're uniquely suited to have a webinar like this and kind of go over how our galleries have felt about the last year, the last 2 years, 3 years, and how everyone's feeling about the future. So that said, let me know where you're coming from, either in the chat or the Q&A. If you have any questions throughout or anything that you'd like to contribute, feel free to utilize those resources. But we want to hear from you first. So I'm going to set a timer for a brief poll, so you guys can kind of reflect, and before we move into the rest of our presentation about strategy planning, about 2024, we encourage you to participate. We've got a relatively small crew today, but feel free to be as verbose as you'd like in the poll. We want to hear from you. So let me figure out how to set that up. One moment,
hope you
please.
guys, wherever you guys are phoning in from, I hope the weather is as good as it is in Atlanta. It's 70 degrees today, a little cloudy, so thank you guys for letting me be outside. I'm enjoying, I've been in the office all day and I just want to get a little bit of sunshine before it sets.
I know it. Yeah, the my windows are open and it feels weird coming from a trip to DC this past weekend where it was very, very cold. Uh, all righty, so we've got this poll. The poll is up. If you wouldn't mind, going through the questions. The questions are, what was your biggest success in 2024? This can mean anything, whether you had a really cool some parties, or you sold a ton of artwork, or you felt like your brand was more present in XYZ space. Uh,
Recruited some new artists.
yes, exactly. Like added to your stable and sort of stabilized your stable, if you will. And then what tools or strategies do you think you could use to help your gallery grow in the coming year? And then the third one is my favorite one. If Don't think about resources or money or even like geographic limitations.
Physics.
Um, yeah, what's your goal? What would be like your biggest dream for your gallery in 2025? So I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes to fill out this poll. No pressure if you don't want to, but it might be a nice way to reflect. And
Yeah, we thought it was cool because we could kind of work some of the thoughts or perspectives into some of our answers as we go through some of the points we want to share.
exactly right, exactly right. Um, all righty, I am starting the timer for 4 minutes, and I'm starting it right now. So, thank you so much. We'll come back to that in a little bit to inform some of the Q&A and some of more conversational pieces of this. To go over a little bit of where we found data outside of kind of working in this space alongside y'all. Um, the Art Basel and UBS comes out with a 2024 report every year, as does artprice.com. Artsy has a lot of articles. What I'll do, because we'll be sending out this recording afterwards, as we always do with our webinars, is including all of the links to these PDFs and to the information that we used in our research for the following data. As you guys know, working for Art Cloud and being in the art space, we certainly have our eyes wide open during the year. But we also read these things. So what themes and insights emerge from these reports on top of our observations for what happened this past year and then what we expect to happen in the future. And of course, we want to hear from you. We're going to have your reflections as well. But essentially, Alex, do you want to take the mic?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, everyone, for being here. Excited to have you. We can certainly, I won't read you all the bullet points because you can read yourself, and we will be sharing this recording. But I think that the trends that I think are emerging, the tea leaves that kind of people tend to be talking about, I guess, first of all, no one knows, but certainly the macro climate and the kind of tectonic plates of the ecosystem suggests that as we had kind of the post-COVID environment and that zero interest rate environment, e-commerce and commerce in general just kind of skyrocketed. We saw growth in all sorts of luxury markets, including art. And as things have tightened up, 2024 was a tough year for a lot of sectors and a lot of verticals. It was an election year, so lots of uncertainty. There's global war, so it was just an overall hard year. I think some galleries were reporting kind of dips in as much as 50 and 70% across our customers that we surveyed. We saw an average dip of about 30%. When we meet with customers and they say they were flat, we try to give them the rosy colored glasses view of that's actually quite good. Of the galleries that we know that outperformed kind of that dip, we heard a lot of sentiment like the sales are still coming, but it's just twice as hard, or customers are getting more and more picky, more and more discerning. They're not just kind of buying the something on a whim. They're really studying it. They're trying to understand the artist's bio. They're just a little bit more discerning in their purchases, a little bit more picky. And so that kind of accounts for the galleries that are able to accommodate that and do that extra sales effort, can mitigate those downturns. And I think the galleries that were not might have seen some of those dips the most. Looking forward, we're talking about looking forward later, aren't we, Megan?
We are.
We are. I won't spoil that one. So that's kind of the tea leaves that I have on kind of the current state and how we got here. What else would you add, Megan?
Yeah, I think the last point I think is, we all are living this, but just to point out, like market stabilization post-pandemic has adjusted to like this cautious new normal. With what happened, like you said, with the interest rates, with people being so chronically online in 2020 and 2021, as well as 2022, I think 23 and 24 have proven that like people are sort of clunkily coming out of that period of all of our lives, and in ways that are kind of unexpected. Having the hybrid model, I think, is kind of a no-brainer of making sure that you're digitally set up. Your gallery is very visible online. Either you actually are implementing e-commerce or you have your inventory purchasable, inquirable, is kind of a non-negotiable at this point. That's what we've learned. But yes, moving into 2025, I think, we don't know quite yet what the implications for the US, but it certainly will change and we will be there with you. So on that note, next page, the predictions for 2025. Alex, do you kind of want to get started with that?
Yeah, I think there's a feeling of optimism in all luxury markets. I think Bain, the consulting firm, did a kind of a year-end audit and prediction on global luxury markets, and they predicted even with the headwinds of tariffs, they were predicting kind of a 2% drop in overall. So kind of fashion, jewelry, art, etc. All those things bucket together. They were kind of expecting a 2% dip. So kind of, yeah, I'd average that down to flat. I think so. Kind of maybe tariffs are offsetting some of the kind of overall optimism. I think people expect interest rates to go back down, more housing transactions to start occurring, and I think a lot of galleries feel the correlation between home sales and their sales. So hopefully we'll see that become a tailwind for all of our customers and galleries.
I
What else?
completely.
What else do we add?
I think that's pretty much it. I think the U.S. policy changes will certainly inform what happens this upcoming year. AI's role is an interesting thing to think about. I think what we get from a lot of our artists that are in our ecosystem, they're worried about the actual content creation. I think galleries aren't quite as worried about that in terms of authenticity, but certainly with AI business tools, like businesses that are getting ahead of that and using AI for being super optimized within their how they're running their business, whether it's with their marketing, with their sales, with the way that they're reaching out to the world. It's going to become, I think, something that if you're not using it, if you're not first, you're last, in the wise words of Ricky Bobby. So you need to start sort of understanding how AI and how machine learning is impacting all the platforms that you're using. But that's something that I'm thinking about quite a bit, obviously, as a marketer. But I'm sure that galleries, small businesses, medium businesses, big businesses are also thinking about it too. Um, Speaking of with the digital tools, Alex, let's talk about digital best practices for 2025.
Yeah.
This is what we know about the best. This is, in terms of the global art market and the, exchanging of goods. That's one thing that we obviously try to keep an eye on. But in terms of what art galleries in the art world needs to use when doing business using the computer, that is what we are experts on. So I will pass the share to you, Alex, and
Great.
he will go through. And I'm gonna download the results of the poll for after we do this sort of product demo, and he will go through all of the ways that galleries are using Art Cloud specifically to market their work, to get in touch with their collectors, and to operate their business.
Thank you, Megan. So kind of going back to that theme of AI or just efficiency, I think that that is just going to be one theme throughout the future. It's just getting more for less, doing more for less. So tools like our cloud and other platforms will be, I think, indispensable for all small businesses, including our galleries, as they just streamline efficiency, streamline their marketing efforts, try to get better and more insightful in how they market and who they market to and what's effective. And I think that the tools that do leverage those types of AI to make it easy and straightforward so that no one has to, learn it themselves, it can be baked into these products. I think those are the ones that will add the most value. So we'll kind of go through the product in a couple different ways and show you ways that our cloud's thinking about this. If you're using our cloud and you are not using all of these tools, please reach out to our support team. We're happy to set up trainings and walk you through any of it. If you're not on our cloud, we'd love for you to come to the site and sign up for a free trial. You can poke around. We have a free version, and then you can sign up for a trial and kind of have full access to the platform. So we'd love for you to kind of compare us against your whatever tools you're currently using. The first kind of tool or feature that I want to walk through is our sales opportunity tracker. So again, going back to efficiency and efficacy, kind of those are the two lenses that we always look at when we're building features, designing features, prioritizing feature requests. I think that the opportunity tracker hits on both efficiency and efficacy in a sense that it gives you one central place to look at all the sales opportunities that you are currently working, that your team is currently working. As inquiries come in off your website or off of a marketplace or in person in a gallery or a fair, they will be added into this opportunity tracker. And what we've learned from talking to galleries is that the sales process can just get confusing and muddied as you think about it, it's this big blob. And so what we've worked really hard to do is deconstruct that into bite-sized elements or help you segment out all the different opportunities into the buckets that they are, so that just by breaking that apart, it gets a little bit more approachable. It's easier to digest and easier to get your head around where your current sales funnel is. And so each kind of stage of the opportunity tracker can be configured by the gallery, but we have things like, leads. So maybe as soon as an inquiry comes in from a website, it's automatically added to the lead column. And as you, qualify the client, as you start communicating with them and start working that lead, you can move it down funnel. So you can move it into warm or hot, close won, close lost. And these types of funnels then let you see, okay, where are all my deals that are warm? Let me spend the afternoon, really trying to get a yes or no out of them. Things like, would you like shipping quotes? Are you ready? Are you ready to make a purchase? Can we schedule time to FaceTime and look at this? Or if you have cold leads that just haven't ghosted, kind of ghosted you or haven't responded to any of your inquiries, you can spend the whole day kind of focused on that type of communication and that not having to context switch between every single opportunity and just taking them sequentially like that. You can be a lot more efficient and effective in those sales efforts. Once you pull up the opportunity tracker as well, you can obviously send all sorts of communication. You can include the potential purchases in a nice tear sheet format. You can also add follow-up reminders. You can create offers. So if you wanted potentially, if they've gone cold and you wanted to try one more Hail Mary before you mark it as a closed lost opportunity, you can make a 10% offer that expires Friday, just to try to create that urgency in the deal. And if not, if they ghost you on that, then you can, mark it closed lost and move on to other warmer opportunities. Campaigns is another, I'll back up and say the opportunity tracker is really designed to help you once you start having a steady stream of website inquiries or marketplace inquiries or just general inquiries to actually work when you actually want to start systemizing your sales process. If you find that you're not getting enough of weekly leads or monthly leads to be working, then tools like the campaign builder or the new arrivals, which we'll get into in a little bit, are designed to help bring more awareness to your site. So again, that idea of like the sales process can be this amorphic, hard to understand, overwhelming blob of responsibility and consequence and challenge. By dividing it into the buckets of, create awareness for your inventory and your artist, convert that interest into some sort of buying signal and user email addresses, phone numbers, and then work those emails and those contacts and those relationships into a closed one. If you kind of divide it into those three buckets, then it becomes a lot more approachable. And if things aren't working, you can kind of know where you want to put your energy. So we'll talk about that if we have some time in analytics as well. Let me see if I can move Zoom out of the way here. Here, we're going to just go ahead and look at a sent campaign. So a lot of you guys, if you're not using ArtCloud, are probably using something like Constant Contact or MailChimp, which is they're fantastic platforms. However, when you create a campaign inside of one of those, everything that you add is going to be, let me just remove this for the sake of demonstration purposes. Everything's going to be static content. So if you wanted to drag text over, you can drag text over and edit it. If you wanted to include an image, you can do an image. This is all going to be very familiar for anyone that's used any modern email platform. What's different about ArtCloud's campaign builder is that we also have integration to your inventory. So just by dragging over this inventory widget, we can come in here and select any piece of the inventory that we want. So let's just say we want to select these 4 pieces. We can do some light formatting options. Maybe we want to include these in 2 columns. Maybe we want to include an automatic link to our website. So because you have an ArtCloud website and we know the inventory, we can automatically link each one of these artworks to your website, to the inventory detail page. And we'll kind of explain why that's important in a second. But now all of a sudden, what could have been 30 minutes or an hour of downloading your artwork images, uploading them into MailChimp, typing in all that meta information like the artist and the title and the medium and double checking it and making sure you didn't have any typos and linking them all back, that can all be done, as you just saw, in 30 seconds. And what we've seen from galleries that start using this is that they can then create a lot more campaigns to more segmented audience members or more segmented contact list inside of their CRM. And so when you personalize these campaigns, the engagement goes up. And when the engagement goes up, that means more traffic to your website. And more traffic to your website means more inquiries. That means more inquiries for your sales team to close. And so you can see how you start to build this flywheel where you have this process in place. And as you start working on one element, it then kind of cascades all the way down. And with the leading or the last kind of result being more revenue. And again, so all these features have been designed very carefully to be integrated and work together to kind of help a gallery grow their business. Um, Not only then is the inventory integrated into these campaigns, but as you do send it and you engage with analytics, uh, the analytics will be on obviously the campaign, but we'll also bake those back into the contact record. So when you come in here and pull up a particular client, you'll be able to see under the activity stream all the marketing emails they've got, their engagement. Did they open it? Did they click it? So if someone does inquire about a piece off the website, you can kind of browse and be like, oh yeah, they did. They opened up that email about that exhibition we had 2 months ago and started engaging and started coming back to the website. So you can start to get a sense of how has this client discovered you, how have they started, and what the history has been with them over time. I want to just spend a little bit of time looking at, if I can, in this demo account, we'll see the this kind of sales funnel. So earlier I spoke about deconstructing a sales process that's this, overwhelming amount of responsibility into 3 different buckets. And these are the kind of the 3 different buckets we think about: awareness, engagement, and then total revenue generated. And so you can see inside of our website analytics page, you can pull up any date range here and you'll be able to see how many people made it to your website. So you can drill down, see where they came from, start getting a sense of what of your marketing efforts have contributed most to the awareness of your website. And then most excitingly, and I think what's really cool about this is, all this stuff is available in Google Analytics, which I bet all of you guys have, but I'd also bet that you guys never check it because I never check it. And no one that I know checks it because it changes all the time. It's incredibly confusing. So we've tried to distill what we think are the most important analytic elements from Google Analytics into our analytics platform. And all that to say, this conversion, I think, is one of the most important metrics that your gallery can track. So of all the people that make it to your website, how good is your website at converting them into some sort of buying signal? Like how good is your website at capturing who they are, their email address, their interests, what artworks they're interested in, maybe even a direct online purchase. And so you can see in this demo account, we have 2.2% conversion, which means the website converted 2.2% of all the visitors into some sort of engagement. We also then benchmark that against the industry average to help you get a sense of how you're doing. And this, again, gives you a good sense of where should you prioritize your marketing and sales efforts as you look forward to the next year. Once you start getting that second bucket, that number of clients that have been created from the website, they've engaged in content, they've raised their hand and said, I'm interested in this artwork, I want to be on your mailing list, I bought this work. Then you have kind of how good are you at the sales process of all these people that raise their hand and say, I'm interested in this. How good are you and your sales team at converting those into actual sales? And again, that just comes down to a clean percentage of all the people that raised their hand and were interested in our artwork. How many of them actually ended up on a closed invoice in that date period? And so again, we'll see industry average, and you can see how your gallery is performing. So again, it can be you can go down a million rabbit holes in this space, but we try to make it as simple as possible to get a big picture view so you know where to put your energy. The last little bit I'll cover so that I don't bore you guys to death is our Copilot. So when you first log into our cloud, we're going to make a lot of actionable suggestions on how you can grow your gallery. Obviously, if you're using a platform like our cloud, then you're kind of all in. Our users use it every day, all day long. So we can start making really actionable and personalized suggestions on ways we think we can grow your business. And one of those is our new arrivals widget. If you import new inventory from a particular artist, we're going to scan all of your past sales and your CRM activity, and we're going to pull out a segmented list of contacts that are interested in this artist. We're going to make it really easy for you to send a nice campaign with all of that inventory on there, and you can customize all of this as much as you want. You can link these back to your website again. And again, going back to that concept of the more personal these outreaches are, the more personal these communications and emails are, the higher the engagement, and the higher engagement means more website visitors and thus more revenue. You can also post these directly to social media, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, or X. We make it really easy to get those works onto social media so that you can, again, focus on running a business. Most of the galleries that we work with are short-staffed. They have one or two or three people doing 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people's jobs. And so again, that's why kind of that efficiency is always a lens that we look in when we are examining what features to build and prioritize on our roadmap. Um, Megan, anything that I missed that I should go over here? Any questions? If there's anything you guys want me to cover, you can cover it. We can go over it now, or we can go wait and bring it up in the Q&A.
I think you hit the highlights. I think that it's clear to us, and I dropped a resource for later, and I'll add that to my follow-up email as well. We have an e-commerce webinar specifically for art galleries on the best practices, why people do it, why people don't do it, and how to engage with e-commerce. And so Alex goes deeper into some of the things that we're talking about right now for e-commerce, which could be something that you either try or try to grow even further in 2025. But yeah, the Copilot is only getting stronger with every single time. Every time you're in platform, every time you're in your Art Cloud account, you're fueling Copilot to feed you the right asks for marketing and sales. Something I stripped out our poll, and I have a common themes slide I'm about to pull up, but everyone wants to strengthen their marketing strategy this year. And so, yeah, let me share that.
Yeah, exciting to see.
Yeah, it's probably,
Doesn't everyone always want to strengthen their marketing? I mean, I feel like our marketing got so much better this year, but I want to be better and better and better and better.
you're just saying that because I'm on the call.
Yeah.
That's my job. No, but certainly marketing strategy is shifting and changing. From year to year always, but digitally now it's as tricky as it's ever been to find the right people. Like if you're not on TikTok, you're not finding the youth. Will we have TikTok? We don't know yet. Like there's so many things that you need to keep your finger on the pulse of honestly every day. But continuing to strengthen that marketing strategy, we also have webinars and resources for that. Not only how to use Art Cloud to strengthen your marketing strategy and to create a content calendar, and to think through what you as a gallerist, what's in your best interest to actually share with your collectors and to share with social media. So I'll make sure to send that out also. But as you can see here, our common themes for successes is expanded programming and expanded services. Along with adding new artists, which happens to most galleries year over year, that's something that I realized this year too, in our city in Atlanta, where I love going to gallery events. It really feels like this year, as opposed to in the pandemic era, like the events came back. Like there was openings every weekend, there was artist talks every weekend. So I think that continuing that, as exhausting as events at the space is, or in the galleries, I think that that's really important for making sure that you're having people in real life, like you can see them, you can hear, you can talk to them. Having in-person events, I think, if you have a physical space, is increasingly important. Galleries aim to increase sales. Look at that.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Exactly right. And then we had two people actually talk about interior designers. So interior design firms and art consulting firms are still, super popular for galleries and for individual artists to work with. So that was an interesting commonality also. And then interest in specific platforms like Artsy. Alex, do you want to talk for just a moment about our new integration?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of backing up for just a second, certainly as you try to strengthen the marketing program, the exposure and the outreach is critical. And one of the partnerships that we're most excited about that we just announced maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago is a product integration with Artsy. So if you are on Artsy or you are looking to be on Artsy, one of the hardest parts of managing it is the incredible amount of work it takes to manage inventory, both uploading it into your core system of record, but then also uploading it into marketplaces like Artsy or 1stDibs. And then it sells out of your gallery, updating it on those platforms, or if it sells on those platforms, updating it in your system of record. And it can almost become a full-time job. So not only are you having to then think about the cost of these platforms like ArtCloud and Artsy, but you're also having to think about the man cost of keeping them all up to date. And so we're so excited to work with Artsy to build an integration into the product where you can easily push inventory from our cloud into Artsy. And a couple other platforms have that same kind of inventory push integration. What we were so excited about is that we have an integration that a deeper integration than any other platform in the market that also has that bi-directional sync. So if the work sells inside of your gallery or sells on Artsy, the platforms will keep it in perfect sync. So if it sells in your gallery, we'll remove it off of Artsy or make it unavailable. If it sells on Artsy, we'll go ahead and make that invoice inside of our cloud. And what's really cool about that is then at the end of the year, you can easily see all the sales that these platforms have generated for you. And that's, I think, again, going back to that, mysterious blob of, revenue operations that we all feel. It's just so important to us to try to give you the data in an intuitive way, in a friendly way that helps you understand your business, where sales are coming from, the value of different marketing channels, and so you can make the right investments. Your intuition can be programmed with real data and real events, and not necessarily that intuition. I've got some fun stories where like we'll talk to galleries and ask them questions like their average price point, and they say things like, "Oh, it's $15,000," and you look at the data and you show it to them, and it's $3,500. And what they were thinking about is that one sale they had over the summer to that random walk-in that bought $20,000 worth of work, and because it was so exciting, they kind of held on to that. And I do it too. It's so easy. Like, at Thanksgiving or Christmas, my mom will be like, well, she doesn't actually ask me like the average price point of our galleries, but when people do, in my head, it's like, it's this
Attention to what we
number.
do.
And it's, we actually, our COO runs a report and we're reporting to investors, and it's actually like a lot less. And I'm like, oh man, why did I have that zeal and optimism? But just knowing what the real numbers are will make you a better business, make you make better business decisions, because you'll have real data. And it's just so important to be making future strategic decisions off of where you market. If you want to go to a fair, just those things are expensive. And if you are investing in them without any understanding of the return on investment, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble really fast. So go slow, be thoughtful, measure things, use a platform. If it's not our cloud, like our cloud, to help you understand what's really going on and what's really generating revenue, so that you don't get in a situation where your marketing expenses far outweigh your revenue.
Yeah, I love to go to art fairs, so I hate to trash them at all. But they rely on that. They rely on you not knowing what the return on investment is in that exact scenario. Like we participated heavily in the Atlanta Art Fair this year, which was really encouraging for me, because we've gone to most of the national within the United States of America, the art fairs in our country, and this year felt like unique in that people are back out. So in terms of participating, not just in maybe some primary Basel satellite fairs or Art Basel itself, but focusing on smaller mid-sized cities that are coming up in the art market. That's something to think about, and ask the people that organize them. Try to get the real information. Like how was it? What were sales like? I'm considering going, but I need to know the real information, or I'm not making a decision. They need to give you the data.
Yeah, and think about the full cost, right? Think about transportation, insurance, shipping, installation, opportunity costs of how many weeks before it and how many weeks after it are you preparing or recovering from it. And then do the analysis of like, what pieces are you taking? And I've seen mistakes where galleries will bring maybe $60,000 worth of art, and even if they sold out every piece in the booth, they would be upside down on the expenses that it took to get there to that fair. And so just make sure that it passes the kind of common sense test as you make these larger investments. I mean, making a $30,000-$40,000 investment in a marketing thing, you need to feel really confident that it's gonna pay for itself. If not immediately, then over time.
Yep. And speaking of the marketing, like a marketing plan with social media posts, emails, like at least 6 months out, from the fair, so to make that investment worth it. Because if you're off site, that's more interesting sometimes than being on site. And so creating content around that is always a really good idea, especially like playful and funny content around
Yeah.
travel.
Have a
Um,
sense of humor.
yeah, we sure try to.
Yeah, everyone else is so serious.
Yeah. But so yeah, the poll, I really appreciate everyone participating. I wanted to be a little bit more general, just in to not, air names, but I think for 2025, we will know more in obviously, 6 months or so time with the American market, at least, with possible tariffs and with the changes of administration. But know that us, from all of us at Art Cloud, again, I see customers here. We're here with you, and we are really, really looking forward to supporting you. Alex and I ran some numbers that we added over 250 new features this year, and we're only really getting started. So
Just getting started.
exactly. We're really looking forward to supporting our galleries this year with not only amazing operations, but also continued education and more conversational webinars and meetings. We've got a lot of stuff up our sleeves for what we plan to do and how we plan to support the art world digitally in 2025. So thank you guys again for attending this. It's fun to think optimistically about the future, and I really think we can will some art sales into existence,
I
especially.
think they're coming. I'm optimistic. I believe it's going to be 2025 is going to be a really, really great year for the art market.
Me too. Me too. And we will be here with you along the way to support those sales operationally.
And celebrate. Yeah, absolutely.
Celebrate them, exactly. So thank you everyone again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon or night or morning, depending on where you are in the world. And please look out for an email from Megan with this recording, as well as an expanded deck and a bunch of resources. And we will see you in the new year. Expect to hear from us with some invitations for webinars.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. Bye, everybody.